What's up, everybody? This is Dell. Welcome to Dell on Movies and another episode of Movie Theater Memories. If you're not familiar, this is the series where I talk about a movie that I saw in theaters and either the impact it had on me or the experience itself. And the first episodes all were about my childhood or my teenage years back in the 80s. These are all movies that I saw in the 80s. You can I have a playlist for these. You can check those out. This one is a little different. This one I was actually an adult, and this one is the first of Michael Bay's Transformer movies. If you have spent any time talking to me about Michael Bay, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of Michael Bay movies. At this time when Transformers came out, I didn't really know that, okay? But I was a big fan of Transformers growing up as a kid and as a teenager in junior high school. I really loved Transformers. So when the movie was coming out, I heard that the movie was coming out, I was really excited to go see it, and not only go see it for myself, but also to take my son to see it. And he was just a little bit familiar with Transformers. He was kind of young when the film came out. I want to say he was 11 or 12. I have to check what year Transformers came out. So no, he was younger than that. And anyway, he wanted to see the movies. He saw the trailer on TV. I saw it and used it as a bonding experience for the two of us. So him and I just went. My wife didn't go. Either of my daughters didn't go. So it was just him and I. And for both of us, it was also our very first experience going to an IMAX theater. And this was in here in North Carolina. There are a few IMAX theaters around. This one was in Raleigh. And it is a theater that is attached to a museum, a kids museum. But this theater is solely dedicated to IMAX. There's one theater, one room, not a multiplex or anything like that. And they only show movies in IMAX. So this was our very first experience. And we got there early. And the setup, I didn't know what I was in store for, because the curtains opens up and all you can see are speakers. So that kind of got my attention right away. When I'm looking up there and all I see is the speakers. There's in each corner and then some in the middle. And as I look around, you turn your head left and right and you see speakers there also. Before the show starts, they want to give us a demonstration of what IMAX is capable of. I'm thinking, okay, this should be pretty cool. And of course, the voice is a loud, booming voice, right? And my son's sitting right next to me. And so he's just looking at it. And he had been to the movies plenty of times before that, but he's used to just, you look up there and you see this big white screen. So we were both a little bit confused. And then they start demonstrating the speakers, the different speakers all over the area where the screen normally is, and they start showing you the highs and the bass, and then all the speakers all around the theaters, they're demonstrating them like kind of one at a time. So you hear noise here, noise here, noise all the way around you until all the speakers have played. And then the screen crystallizes seemingly out of nowhere, because it looks like a big net when at this particular theater at that time. It kind of looks like that. And so when the screen comes up and they put like this little picture up and they talk about how clear it is versus regular theaters and how big it is, because this is a true IMAX. It's a huge, gigantic screen. And so now I'm excited for this movie, and my son's excited for this movie, and the movie starts. I'm not going to go through the movie. Most of you have seen this movie. If you're watching my channel, you've probably seen this movie. There's a good chance you have. So you know what it is. You either like it, you don't like it. I actually really like this movie. The story worked for me, and as I would pick up on later, when Michael Bay has to explain things early, or at least introduce you to characters, he's a much better director than in sequels, because in sequels he kind of jumps right in with all the explosions right away and everything explodes constantly and doesn't always work. Here he has to take his time because the show that the movie was based on, or the toy line, was popular 30 years earlier. So a lot of the kids not really familiar with those characters, as far as what they're actually about. They may have seen those characters, and I can't remember if there was a Transformers show at the time. I'm not sure. But they're not really familiar with them the way the adults in the audience might be. So, and you want the kids in the audience because you want those sequels going down the line, which he got plenty of. So I really like this movie. He was kind of restrained as a director, and it was silly, it was kind of goofy, but it all seemed to fit, all seemed to work out. Had a good time watching this movie. And the first thing, or the biggest thing that jumped out at me, of course, the size of the screen first off, because I've gone to the movies hundreds of times in my life, literally, and no matter where something happens on the screen, at most you kind of move your eyes one way or the other to see it, even if it's on the the furthest ends of the screen. Well, here it wasn't much, but when something happened on this end of the screen, for instance, you just kind of tilted your head a little bit, and that was something I noticed, something small. And of course, as something was moving across the screen, you're kind of following it with your head, not just your eyes, because the screen was so huge. And that is a small thing, but again, something I noticed. And then the sound, I told you about the demonstrations at the beginning, the sound was just magnificent. I mean, when Transformers slammed into each other, you felt it, right? So I felt, you felt like you were immersed into the movie. And my son, he had a blast. We really, really liked it. And I liked it so much, not just the movie, but that experience of seeing it in IMAX, that a week or two later, I came back to the same theater with my wife this time. I believe my son came back again, and no, actually he didn't. We had a babysitter. And anyway, the whole thing, we got there early, got to see the setup, the demonstration and all that, and then the movie starts. And I'm all into this because I'm just like, wow, this is way different than anything I've ever experienced in a theater, as far as immersion goes. I mean, I've been to, if anybody's been to Myrtle Beach, and this was before it was a thing, they had the theaters, the little small theaters, and I guess a lot of theme parks have them, where the seats go up and rise and turn and all this stuff on for a little while for some short film. The seats didn't do that, of course, in an IMAX theater, but the immersion was the same. You felt like you're right there. And so as I'm, just letting it wash over me and enjoying it, my wife is enjoying it, but she's enjoying it a little differently than me. It was almost like a horror movie in certain aspects, because when the Transformers, the action scenes started happening, the crashing was so loud, and she was actually jumping and kind of holding on to me. And of course, guys, we got that ego. We feel big and strong when the woman that we're with is kind of holding on to us, even during a movie, looking to us for safety. So I got a kick out of that. So that was kind of an ego massage I didn't know I needed or wanted at the time, but it was fun. She enjoys the movie. She still loves Transformers movies to this day. Me, not so much. I like a couple of them. So I'm glad that she got to experience that in that theater. Since we've been to IMAX a couple times, she's been a couple times, I've been a few more times than her, and it's not quite the same. The other IMAX theaters that we've been to, the screen is still huge, maybe not quite as big, and when you get a lot of these, when something's mass produced, you lose a little bit in the quality. So I'm not sure if the sound systems and the screens are all exactly the same. I'm pretty sure they're not exactly the same as that original experience that I had. Still good, still great, because I did see Oppenheimer last year, or 2023. I did see Oppenheimer in IMAX, and that was a great experience, don't get me wrong, but it just can't live up to, it was a different IMAX theater, so it can't live up to that one theater that was solely dedicated to IMAX, and I had a great time with it. And that is my movie theater memory of the original Transformers live action movie. Of course, there's the cartoon. That's another conversation for another day. Didn't see that in theaters, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. Not sure which movie I'll be talking about next, but be on the lookout for it. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Catch you on the next one. Bye.